It's me, your best friend.
Greetings, it's me, your neighborhood hobbyist developer behind ZSUMs and staff member at ZSU. Things have been changing a lot around here, so we've decided to make this video to explain what is and will be going on for the future of ZSU, as well as taking you a little bit behind the scenes to understand where we're standing. To understand why ZSU has been a little, what's the word? Unstable, unprofessional, unorganized, various other untype words. You must understand where ZSU was as recently as a month ago, but first let's go back a little bit further than that. ZSU and the various similarly styled projects that came before it were always small groups. The rules were relatively loose, things were sort of vague, and enforcement was very lenient. When you have a small group of people, you can get away with that, since everyone kind of mutually knows what's up and they know what they want for the group. You can feel this in many parts of ZSU, such as the request system and how trading worked. I joined the team back around October, which was when the server was getting a little more sizable. Back then, all of ZSU's ownership information was kept track of in a spreadsheet, which sounds insane today, but made sense back when the server was so small. I noticed staff being overwhelmed, so I put myself to work making a bot to keep track of the spreadsheet, and eventually we converted to a full-on database. Before ZSU being mentioned on Bro Nation, we might have gotten a couple of signups per month, and most of them were friends of members. October through December were very quiet months, as they marked a lot of big changes as ZSU transitioned to Blogbot and the new database. We made up for the lack of births, stores, and typical events in those 3 months by having a set of major events back-to-back at the end of December and beginning of January. And right at the tail end of these major events was when ZSU started being mentioned on Bro Nation, and we noticed a couple more people joining. This was before anyone even made a video on ZSU, and was just in the murmurings of Bro Nation. I think we might have had a dozen or two signups in 2 weeks, and that alone was enough to be intimidating. Not that we weren't happy that the server was growing and more people were getting involved. We loved to see people interested in this kind of experience, and it was great to see so many new people joining ZSU. But we could envision the work on the horizon. Or, well, I guess I should say we thought we could envision the work on the horizon. Once the amazing YouTubers started posting about ZSU, even without the link, people were finding ZSU. We were getting several signups per day. Now, we kind of figured this meant that most of their audiences were already finding their way into ZSU, and so we were pretty comfortable with the state of the server's updates when we allowed them to post their videos. But when they posted them, there was chaos. We tripled our server's Zoo count in 2 days. Staff overwhelmed with signups. Threads broke. Bot commands broke. The websites broke. North America broke. People weren't reading the starting guide. People didn't know how zoos worked. People didn't know how animals worked. Threads were being made in the wrong places. Wrong species were on the suggestions. Had to justify or modify things on the fly. Impatience. Breeding enclosure hell. Approved signups for 50 zoos long. Miscommunication. Trade locking confusion. Lots of question and answer. Bug fixing, insane voice chats, user reports, blueprint confusion, channels not being made, channels being made too much, when's the next auction again, permissions issues, Europe broke, people gaming the system, scheduling out the window, having to make a new bot from scratch, people restarting days after joining, conflicting feedback everywhere, does breeding work yet, the website's down again, how do fish work again, what counts as a domestic, backlog of requests, slug, store chaos, trying to figure out who's at 50%, trying to sort out region roles, oh god, everyone's using the bot at once, people's animals going missing, more bug fixing, North America broke again? And that's just what I can remember right now. It's not that we're upset about y'all joining at all. Absolutely not. We love the amount of people who are getting involved. We love the amount of creativity we're seeing on show in ZSU today. But a lot of things are happening at once, and a lot of you guys are understanding, but staff are still overwhelmed. A lot of the old things that worked on a slower pace ZSU are now impossible to keep up with. It's become apparent that things need to change, and so much is fuzzy and in the air right now because of that. We've been getting to signups as fast as we can and trying our best to keep people entertained as ZSU is right now, but one thing is clear, what we have right now is not sustainable. Staff are overwhelmed, communication is becoming harder, and will not go away if things stay the way they are. We will work on the state of ZSU as it is right now, but the primary focus is going to be on taking what we've learned from the past week and creating something that will work long term to make a good environment for everyone to participate in ZSU, which leads us to... I would like to invite you to a new world. A world of wait, hold on, I'm told that's been done already. Can we start over? It's clear that we need to upscale our stuff to be able to work with so many people at once. There aren't enough hours in the day for our volunteers to vet everything individually. We need a way to encourage creativity, with a more streamlined way of staff involvement, and without a danger to the system as a whole. What we came up with was, by the first week of March, this is ZSU International, a sort of hub server, branching off into 6 regional servers. ZSU North America, Latin America, Europe, Africa, Asia, and Oceania. To keep the communities connected, we will have several cross-server channels. In these channels, messages you post get sent to every server in the ZSU network. That way, you can still chat across servers conveniently, but each region will have its own set of channels, its own trading community, its own regional staff team, individually smaller than our current staff team, but together much larger. Every aspect of ZSU is going to be re-examined with the experience we've gained for the past week of new users joining. We will end up with a finalized way of progression that everyone can follow. The goal is to find out how we can keep the spirit of ZSU alive with the most minimal amount of intervention by staff members where possible. To make an experience that users can enjoy without having to be held up by all this admin work. Our current system was great at keeping the spirit alive in a smaller ZSU community, but now that the community is outgrowing this old system, it's time for a true overhaul. This major update will be released alongside a brand new website, which will be a far better way of browsing zoos, animals, and other information about ZSU. There will also be interactive features of this website that will make things like editing enclosures far easier than doing them in Discord alone. This should solve a lot of the issues people are having with the bot being unresponsive. Your zoos will be fine. Nothing will be lost in the transition, ideally. You will not lose your progress. We will be migrating everything from the old server to the new network so you guys can pick up right where you left off. But please be aware that we will generally not be answering questions about this update specifically. This is because many aspects are still unclear even to us. It's still in development, and we're trying to ensure this update is thought out and not rushed. We need to focus on making it, and not fumbling over immediate ideas that are subject to change. We wanted to let the community know the roadmap ahead of us, to make you aware that things will be bumpy for the next month, but they will be running way smoother. And we are considering a lot of things and trying to make this a genuinely long-term update. Unfortunately, that kind of huge update requires a lot of attention and a lot of time, a lot of care. So what we're doing in the meantime may not be perfect, but it is just for the next month-ish. Staff will be working with getting people in, getting channels made, and making the most of the system we currently have. I will be primarily focusing on Rewrite and the new website. Things may be a bit wishy-washy, things might be inconsistent here and there, but you need to understand that this is because we are trying our best to make use of an old relic of the past while we are working on a modern solution for the future. We are a volunteer team working for free on this major time sink. With all these users, it can take hours to get through just a chunk of what has to be done. And because it would take exponentially longer if we were to go in and fix every little thing just for the temporary 1 month period that this will be in place, we're going to be focusing on improving things for the future, the long-term future, rather than fixing tiny little things here and there and dealing with the little individual bugs and blips that happen in the bot. We also will need to be a bit stricter. This strictness will likely go away when we migrate to the new server, but it would take so much longer for us to go in and figure out every little exception that needs to be made for every zoo. So for now, we're just going to be strict on it. It shouldn't have too much of an impact. You can probably just hold off on anything that you might need leniency for. It won't take that long, just a month or so. I know I keep saying this, but I just want to impress upon you that it's going to be bumpy, but it's not going to be for that long. All I have to ask is to please be patient with us. We thank you all for sharing your amazing builds with the community and participating in ZSU as a project, and we hope you're as excited as we are for the eventual launch of ZSU International. And I really can't wait to see what you guys make of the new update. It's going to be a big one. It's going to be great. I'm very excited for it, and I hope you are too.